My best friend said, "You'll always be there for me." I replied, "Not anymore." Then I took the Denver promotion, stopped being her on-call therapist, built a life with a woman who chose me first, and I just smiled because she has no idea how far I've already gone. But my best friend Maddie said, "You will always be there when I am ready, right? You are not going anywhere." 6 months ago, when I told her I might take a job in Denver, she laughed when she said it, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, like I was her emotional support dog who would just sit there waiting forever. Well, guess what? I went somewhere after all, and now she has been calling me nonstop begging me to come back. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me back up and tell you how I went from being someone's backup plan to realizing I deserve to be someone's first choice. I am Caleb, 31, project manager in Houston. For 3 years, I was completely head over heels for my best friend Maddie. We are talking Sunday brunches, road trips to Austin, movie nights, where she'd fall asleep on my shoulder. I was living in this fantasy where all those moments meant something. Maddie's an elementary school teacher, all sunshine and energy. The kind of person who remembers your coffee order and calls you at midnight when her Tinder dates go wrong. And guys, I ate that up. Every "you are the only guy who really gets me" felt like a promise. Every time she said "I don't know what I would do without," you felt like she was building towards something. I was so wrong. It is embarrassing. 3 weeks ago, we spent the entire day decorating her Christmas tree. While I am untangling lights, she says, "You know what I love about you, Caleb? You are so dependable. Like, I never have to worry about you changing or wanting something different from me." Red flag number 1 right there, but I was too deep in the fantasy to see it. Then she is standing on this stepladder hanging ornaments and goes, "Promise me we will always be friends like this. Even when I finally find Mr. Right, you will still be my person. Right, Mr. Right?" While I am literally decorating her tree like some domestic couple fantasy, that is when I snapped right there with White Christmas playing. I told her everything. How I had been falling for her since day one. How I wanted to be more than her emotional support friend who drives her to the airport and fixes her problems. Her response, "I cannot lose our friendship. You mean too much to me." Just not like that. Besides, you know, you will always be here for me no matter what, always be here like I was furniture. But here is the thing that has got me completely messed up. I smiled. I actually smiled, hugged her, and said, "Of course." Drove home like nothing happened, and for the first time in 3 years I saw our entire friendship. Clearly, I wasn't her friend. I was her emotional vending machine, free therapy, rides to the airport, midnight crisis management, someone to make her feel special without any actual commitment on her part. Think about it. Every time she had a bad date, who did she call me? Every time she needed someone to assemble IKEA furniture or help her move or listen to her complain about her job, who was available? Me. Every time she wanted to try a new restaurant or needed a +1 for her cousin's wedding, who was her reliable backup? Me. And what did I get in return? The privilege of watching her swipe through dating apps while sitting next to me on my couch. The honor of hearing about how this guy seems really great while she used my shoulder as a pillow. The joy of being told I was like a brother while she wore my hoodies and borrowed my Netflix password. I was performing boyfriend duties for friend prices, and she loved the arrangement. So the next morning, I called my boss and accepted that job offer in Denver. The one I had turned down because I couldn't leave her. When I told our friend group, I was moving for career growth. Maddie pulled me aside. She actually said, "Don't worry. Distance will not change anything between us. You will still be my best friend," still like that was supposed to comfort me. Then she added, "I will visit all the time. Denver's not that far and you can come back whenever you miss Houston too much." The assumption was staggering. She genuinely believed I would structure my entire life around her convenience, that my apartment would be her crash pad. My weekends would be available for her visits. My new life would revolve around making sure she felt comfortable with my choices. I leave for Denver in 2 weeks, and Maddie has no idea that her dependable, always available best friend just became unavailable forever. But here is what is really messing with my head. I'm not heartbroken anymore. I am angry. 3 years of being treated like an emotional support animal, and she expected me to just stay. 3 years of you are such a good friend, while she dated guys who treated her like garbage because they were exciting and I was safe. Safe. God, I hate that word. Safe means backup plan. Safe means when everyone else disappoints me. At least Caleb will be there. Safe means never being chosen first. Well, I am not staying, and something tells me she is about to learn the difference between someone who chooses to be there and someone who has no other choice. The really messed up part of me is excited to see what happens when her safety net disappears. When she realizes that all those guys she picked over me weren't just exciting, they were also temporary. And now her permanent fallback option has an actual life of his own. Update. The messages from Maddie started the day after I posted this. Apparently, she is confused about why I am running away, and this doesn't seem like me. She asked if I am going through something and offered to help me work through whatever this is. Still treating me like a problem she needs to solve instead of a person who made a choice. This is going to be interesting. Update 1. Remember that dependable friend who was supposed to always be there? Well, plot twist. I am not. Denver has been incredible. I joined a photography club, started training for marathons, launched a travel blog that actually has followers. Work promoted me to lead a $40 million project. Turns out when you are not being someone's emotional support system, you have energy for your actual life. But here is where it gets interesting. Maddie's been texting a lot at first. Normal stuff. How is Denver? Miss our Sunday brunches. I replied politely but briefly. Then the messages got longer and more frequent and weirdly desperate. She would send these essays about her dating disasters, how men these days don't know how to treat a real woman, how this finance bro wasn't thoughtful like you always were, how she went on 3 dates last month and kept thinking about how you would have handled things better. Then she started sending photos, random stuff from Houston. Look what I found cleaning out my closet with a picture of the hoodie I let her borrow 2 years ago. Screenshots of restaurants we used to go to with captions like this. Place isn't the same without you. The manipulation was so obvious, it was almost insulting. When she texted at 11 p.m. about some guy ghosting her instead of immediately calling like I used to, I sent back that sucks. When she sent paragraph breakdowns about work drama, I replied, sounds stressful, and didn't offer solutions. The change in her responses was immediate. You are being weird. This isn't like you. Then are you mad at me about something? Then I feel like you are being distant and I don't understand why. She was right. The old me would have dropped everything to fix her problems. The new me was setting boundaries and she absolutely hated it. But the real game changer happened 3 weeks ago. I met Alina, a nurse who does sunrise photography hikes. We started talking about camera settings and ended up hiking together for 4 hours. She has got this laugh that makes me forget to be self-conscious. And when I told her about my travel blog, she didn't humor me. She actually subscribed and sent feedback on my writing. We have been on 6 dates now. And guys, she doesn't need rescuing. When Alina has problems, she processes them herself first, then shares the story, not the burden. When she asks for advice, it is because she values my perspective, not because she is using me as a coping mechanism. It is like partnership instead of dependency. I didn't know relationships could feel this balanced. We cooked together, explore new hiking trails, and she introduced me to her photography club friends. When I mentioned I was nervous about a presentation at work, she listened, offered genuine support, then changed the subject to something lighter. She didn't try to fix me or manage my emotions. She just let me be human. Meanwhile, Marcus tells me Maddie's been asking about me constantly. Is Caleb dating anyone? Does he seem happy? Has he mentioned coming back to Houston? She is also posting passive-aggressive things on Instagram about people who abandon their friends for new cities and knowing who your real friends are. The projection is incredible. I didn't abandon anyone. I removed myself from a toxic dynamic where my needs didn't matter. But it gets better. Last week, Marcus mentioned that Maddie had asked him to check on me because she was worried about my mental state. When he told her I seemed great, she got upset and said that didn't sound like the Caleb she knew. That is when it hit me. She doesn't miss me. She misses having control over me. The Caleb she knew was always available, always fixing her problems, always putting her needs first. That Caleb made her feel important and special without requiring anything from her in return. That Caleb validated her choices by always being there to clean up the mess when her exciting guys inevitably disappointed her. This new Caleb who has hobbies and boundaries and an actual life. This Caleb doesn't serve her narrative. Yesterday, Alina asked if I wanted to look at places near Boulder together. She is thinking about moving closer to the mountains for better hiking access and asked if I would want to explore neighborhoods together, like a team making decisions together. I said yes without hesitation. 6 months ago, I would have agonized over that decision for weeks, worried about how it might affect Maddie's feelings. But here is the kicker. Last night, Maddie texted, "I miss having someone who actually understands me. These Denver girls better be treating you right because if they are not, you always have someone here who really knows you." If they are not, what? She will swoop in and save me from my own choices. She still thinks I am her backup plan. She just doesn't realize the position's been eliminated. I am not her safety net anymore. I am not her emotional vending machine. I am not her what if everything else falls apart option. I am someone else's first choice, and that feels incredible. Update 2. She showed up in Denver. Alina and I have been together almost 2 years. We moved in together 8 months ago to this incredible place near Boulder with mountain views from our kitchen window. I got promoted to regional director. She is working NICU at Denver General, and we are genuinely building this amazing life together. Last month, my company sent me to a conference in Austin and Alina came along to visit her college roommate. We spent the weekend hiking around Zilker Park and I posted some photos on Instagram of us at the sunset overlook. Normal couple stuff, right? Wrong. 3 days after we got back, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey, stranger. I am in Denver for a teachers' conference this week. Coffee." I stared at that message for a full minute before it clicked. Maddie, I should mention that in the 2 years since I moved, our communication had been basically non-existent. After she got weird about my boundary setting and I stopped engaging, the texts gradually stopped. I figured she had moved on with her life like I had with mine. But now she was in my city asking for coffee like we were still close friends. Part of me was curious about what she wanted. So I agreed to meet at this busy CAF downtown, public place. Lots of people casual. She walked in looking exactly the same, but somehow performing a version of herself, touching her hair, laughing too loud, wearing this dress that seemed calculated to remind me of old times. She kept asking about my apartment, my job, whether I was seeing anyone special. Special like Alina might just be casual. When I mentioned Alina, something flickered across her face, like a mask slipping for half a second. When I said we were living together and house hunting, she went completely quiet for 30 seconds. Then she started this weird trip down memory lane. Remember when we drove to Galveston and got caught in that storm? I was thinking about that last week. I miss how we used to talk about everything. You were the only person who really understood me back then. Sometimes I wonder what you meant that night with the Christmas tree. I have been thinking about it a lot lately. Each comment was a fishing expedition, testing to see if I would take the bait. Then she dropped the bomb. "I think I made a mistake. Caleb, I was scared of ruining our friendship, but watching your life from far away made me realize what I let go, what we could have been." The audacity was breathtaking. 2 years of radio silence, and she thought she could just waltz back in and rewrite history. I kept mentioning Alina throughout the conversation 6 times. When Maddie suggested we hang out like old times without Alina, I said we had dinner plans. When she asked if I was free this weekend, I mentioned Alina and I were looking at furniture, but she kept pushing. It would be nice to catch up, just us, like we used to. That is when I realized this wasn't about friendship. This was about testing whether she still had power over me. I kept the coffee short, stayed polite but distant, and when she suggested dinner, I declined. Her face when I said Alina's making her famous pasta tonight was priceless, like she couldn't believe someone else had claimed to my time. But that was just the beginning. Over the next week, the text started escalating. I cannot stop thinking about our conversation. You seem different. Remember when we watched the meteor shower in your backyard? I still think about that night sometimes. I know this sounds crazy, but do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had said yes that night? I made a mistake, Caleb. I was scared of losing our friendship, but I see now what I actually lost. Each message more desperate than the last. And then came the one that made my blood run cold. I could fly back next weekend, just the two of us. No pressure. I just want to see if there is still something there. What we had was special. I showed Alina everything. She didn't get jealous or possessive. She got concerned. "Babe, this isn't about you anymore," she said. "This is about her realizing she lost control over you. She is not seeing you as a person she cares about. She is seeing you as something that belonged to her that got taken away." That hit me like a truck, because Alina was right. This wasn't Maddie suddenly discovering she loved me. This was Maddie panicking because her reliable emotional support system had found someone who actually valued him. I blocked her on everything. Phone, social media, email, complete scorched earth. But yesterday, Marcus called. And guys, it gets so much worse. Apparently, Maddie's been telling people back in Houston that I led her on for years and abandoned her the second I got attention from someone else. She is painting this narrative where I was secretly manipulating her. She was trying to protect our friendship, and I moved to Denver in some calculated scheme to make her jealous. The rewriting of history is insane. In her version, I was the pursuer, and she was the victim protecting herself from my advances. Never mind that she used me as her emotional dumping ground for 3 years while dating other people. But here is the part that has me genuinely worried. Marcus said she has been asking friends for Alina's social media handles. When they refuse, she gets upset and says she just wants to understand what kind of person would steal someone's best friend. Steal like I was her property. She has been researching my girlfriend like she is planning something. Alina and I are supposed to go ring shopping this weekend. We have been talking about engagement for months, and I had this whole plan to propose during our anniversary trip to Rocky Mountain National Park next month. But now, I am wondering if I should postpone everything until Maddie's obsession burns itself out. The last thing I want is for her to show up at our engagement or try to contact Alina directly. Marcus thinks I should warn Alina about how unhinged Matt's gotten, but Alina already knows. She has been watching me stress about this for days. Yesterday, she said, "We are not putting our life on hold because your ex-friend cannot accept reality. If she tries to interfere with our happiness, we will deal with it, but we are not going to let her win by making us afraid to move forward." That is when I knew I was going to marry this woman. She is not threatened by my past. She is protective of our future, but I still don't know what the hell Maddie is planning, and that terrifies me. Final update, she sent Alina a letter. First, the good news. "I am engaged," Alina said, "yes, on a mountain overlook in Rocky Mountain National Park. Most beautiful moment of my life." We posted our engagement photos, just a simple announcement with some ring shots. Within hours, everything exploded. Turns out Maddie had been stalking Alina's Instagram with fake accounts for months. Madison Teacher with a stock photo profile. Maddie Rose 2024 with no picture. She had been screenshotting our photos at 300 a.m., liking posts from 2 years ago, documenting our entire relationship like some deranged investigator. Alina had accepted the friend requests to see what would happen. Smart woman. The accounts would like every single photo of us together, going back chronologically through 2 years of memories at weird hours. 300 a.m. 500 a.m. like someone obsessively scrolling through our life. We knew it was Maddie, but couldn't prove it until the letter arrived. 2 weeks after our engagement announcement, Alina came home from a 12-hour NICU shift and found a package addressed to her at our apartment. No return address. Inside was a printed letter, 3 pages long, unsigned. The letter was insane, and I mean clinically unhinged. It started by explaining why Alina didn't deserve me, and how I was only with her to make Maddie jealous. It included details about my past with Maddie that only someone obsessively analyzing my social media for years would know. Inside jokes from college, places we had visited that I had posted about and deleted, things I had forgotten I had ever shared online. The letter claimed Alina was a rebound, and that I had been in love with someone else the whole time. It suggested Alina should ask me about Maddie on a random Tuesday and watch how my face changes. It said Alina was pretty enough, but not special, and that she was keeping me from my real soulmate. But the most disturbing part was how much research Maddie had done on Alina herself. The letter mentioned Alina's nursing schedule, her photography hobby, even her college roommate's name, details that weren't public anywhere. Alina brought me the letter without reading it first. She said, "Whatever this is, I want us to read it together." When we finished, Alina was quiet for a long time. Then she said she is trying to plant doubt in my head about us. She wants me to question whether you actually love me or if you are settling. She wants me to feel insecure about your past, so I will push you away myself. That is when I realized Alina understood something I had been too close to see. This wasn't about Maddie wanting me back. This was about Maddie needing to destroy what I had built to prove she still had power over my happiness. The next day, I called Marcus and told him everything. I asked him to pass along one final message to Maddie. That chapter is closed. Don't contact us again. But Marcus had his own disturbing news. Apparently, Maddie had called him drunk 2 nights after our engagement photos went live, crying and asking for my address in Denver. When he refused, she started ranting about how I had stolen her person and ruined her chance at happiness. Marcus recorded part of the call because he was worried about her mental state. She was saying things like he was supposed to wait for me, and I thought he would always be there when I was ready. That is when it all clicked. In Maddie's mind, I wasn't a friend who had developed feelings. I was her backup plan who wasn't allowed to expire. She had kept me in emotional storage, assuming I would be available whenever she decided she was ready to cash in. Alina and I considered involving police, but the letter wasn't technically threatening, just deeply disturbing. Instead, we documented everything, blocked every suspicious account we could find, and Alina made all her social media private. 6 months of silence followed. I thought it was over. Then last week, Marcus called with an update. Maddie had been telling people she was taking time to focus on herself and learning to be happy alone. Standard post-breakup language, except she had never been in a relationship with me. But the really insane part, she had been showing people screenshots of old text conversations between us from 3 years ago. Conversations where I was helping her through various dating disasters. She was using these screenshots as evidence that I had been emotionally cheating with her while dating Alina. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. She had reframed every supportive text I would send when she was crying over some guy as proof that I was secretly in love with her the whole time. In her version, Alina was the other woman who had broken up our deep, emotional connection. But here is what really matters. The woman I am marrying didn't question my love because some unstable person sent her a letter. Alina's security in our relationship didn't waver because someone from my past tried to convince her I was settling. Alina knew who I was because she had built a relationship with me, not with the idea of me. She had never needed me to prove my feelings by abandoning other people. She had never tested my loyalty by creating problems for me to solve. Meanwhile, Maddie spent years thinking friendship meant holding space for her forever. But real love means being someone's first choice. Every single day, Alina and I start marriage counseling next month. Not because we have problems, but because we want to keep building this foundation we have created. We bought a house with mountain views, and Alina's already planning where to put our Christmas tree this year. The best revenge against someone who tried to make you their backup plan. Living so fully in your first choice life that you forget they even exist. Some people think love means being someone's forever option. But real love means being chosen every single day by someone who never makes you question if you are.